Welcome to the SportsBros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scotty D, and your host, the head of creative Eddie Cool. The SportsBros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, and when you hear this podcast, it's actually going to be Tuesday, not that mess I pulled on Wednesday. I cleared up some space on my computer, 8 gigs, if you will, which means more of your favorite sports podcasts, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. I go by the name of HOC, Eddie Cool, the host, the forehead of it all, which means I got a lot of brains in this head. But anyways, that's neither here nor there, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Glad you can join us always. Rate, review, subscribe. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for watching. And we love you, baby. We love you, baby. And with that being said, I'm starting the rambling of the incoherent variety. With that being said, I have two of the best hosts in the world. Introducing first, coming to you live from the Share Studios in good old Fayetteville, North Carolina. He is the almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Let's start off first. Should I go with, because I'm going to steal from Scotty D real quick. Should I go with the traditional version? Should I go with the Stevie Wonder version? Should I go with Trap Beckham? It's new age version. Do I go with Future? I think he has a version. And Jeremiah talks about it in a different type of variety. I'm trying to think of the best way to say happy birthday to Jerry Jones. So I think I'm gonna go with the Stevie Wonder version. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday, Jerry Jones. We here at the Sports Bros Podcast want to wish you a very happy and healthy happy birthday, because your own team did not help you celebrate it whatsoever. So we just want to send our heartfelt thoughts, because your team let you down on your birthday, and that's just no way to celebrate your birthday. 47-9. Oh boy. That is a tough way to celebrate. You know what? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Introduce the other guy, the Dallas Cowboys fan on this program, the one that thinks that Stephen A. Smith's tirades are getting tiring. They are not. I was waiting on it, but I'm sorry. I digress. I'm doing a little hating. I apologize. Introduce the other guy and see what he has for us.
Gotcha, ladies and gentlemen. He is the other guy. He is also known as the Pride of Washington, Pennsylvania. He does just about everything and then some. He even sings pretty good too. He is the one, the only, the money man, Scotty D.
I'm back in the New York groove. I'm back in the New York groove.
He done switched to baseball.
Well, I just watched
like he did hockey.
New York Met hero Francisco Lindor hit a first inning home run, his second of the postseason, following that dramatic grand slam he had to push those guys into the championship. And I'm anxiously awaiting here on Monday evening the Yankees return to the championship game. And not even that goof Jerry Jones is going to put me in a bad mood, because I love championship baseball. I love day base. I love a 4:00 start time of championship baseball game. I love this kind of stuff. I love the crisp fall weather. And even that goof Jerry Jones, who said this was shocking last Sunday night after the game. This was shocking, he said. They get blitzed at home every week now. Every Sunday, they get blitzed.
They're 3-0 away, and they're 0-3 at home, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Sounds about right.
And going back to the playoff game against Green Bay last year, they've been 15 points or worse down at the half in all 4 of those games. It's not shocking. You brought back the guy to coach your team who was so unprepared for a home playoff game last year. Then you said you're going all in, and you let a bunch of your defensive depth go away. And then you hired an old man off the couch to coach the defense. This is not shocking. The other thing that's shocking is that you lived to see 82.
Oh my God.
That's shocking.
Oh wait.
That's shocking. Because my heart can't take the Cowboys week in, week out. How is he doing it? How is he doing it? That's shocking.
Yo, you can't say that on the air.
I'm back in the New York groove. I'm back in the New York groove.
Yo, let me help you out real quick, because I like to stir the pot. I definitely like to stir the pot.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I see Scotty D, you're wearing a Yankees gear right now. You got Yankees on, and Eddie Cool's got Guardians gear on. It is going down in the ALCS.
It is.
Man, oh man. Can we just roll into it, Eddie Cool? Is that cool with you? Let's roll into baseball.
You want to roll into baseball?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to shut the hell up, and guess what? Let's go ahead and hop right into it. The top of the order.
All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order.
Be live. You are very observant. With that being said, I have my Guardians gear on. You know what I'm saying? As the Guardians are in good old New York. And last night, since today is Tuesday, last night was game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Of course, we record on Mondays, and this podcast drops on Tuesdays. But let's talk about Scotty D. We talked about a little bit last night. The NLCS. I'm real intrigued about that one because it's the Dodgers and it's the Mets. All right, the two best teams in the National League. And Scotty D, something I did notice at the beginning of that game, the Mets pitcher, he got roughed up early, and they got him the hell up out of there quick. What are your thoughts from that game?
That the Dodgers were just ready to pounce. They were ready to rock and roll. But it's not, well, I mean, we don't know. It could be 1-1 as we record, or it could be Dodgers up 2-0 going back to New York. But the Mets are not going down quietly just because it's the mighty Dodgers. The Mets were 11 games under 500 on June 5th, and have since then had the best record in baseball. They came sailing through. It came down to the end of the season. They needed to beat the Braves just to get themselves in on that doubleheader Monday we were recorded during a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. They did that. They were down late to the Brewers. Pete Alonso saves the day. They were down to the Phillies. Francisco Lindor takes the biggest swing of his career with a grand slam. This Mets team, man, there's something special about them. They got the belief going on. But the Dodgers, I kind of feel like the same with them. Like, they're so loaded. They have so much star power. And now you see Freddie Freeman can't even hardly walk. He's out there running around the bases, producing, hitting at a high clip. Ohtani is only hitting when there's men on base. He's waiting until he gets guys on, and then he's stroking it. So this could be – I would love to see this go 6 or 7 games, to be quite honest. I'd love to see a good, deep series for that National League. And it's only the Guardians that could really ruin what would be a great time for postseason baseball, as we're one step close to either Yankees, Dodgers, or a Subway Series. So I'm going to need the Guardians to step out of the way, to get out of the way and let the Yankees do their thing here.
I mean, they just can't just slide to the side like that, Scott. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to need them to. I'm going to need that Yankee World Series this year, bud.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Even though I don't like the Dodgers, I don't like the Mets, and I don't like the Yankees. So guess who? I mean, those are intriguing matchups. Those are top level media darling stories that people love to talk about. But how about the Guardians? The fact they couldn't get their name right to start with, but they play damn good baseball.
Yeah.
Man. So it's
who plays for them? I don't even know who plays for them.
So don't do that.
I didn't know who played for the Tigers either. I couldn't name.
No, I named.
You know what? Don't feel bad. I'm not gonna lie to you about that.
The Tigers.
So who plays for?
I think they had a guy named Scooble who went out and had a bad last game, And
Don't get me to lying. I was just rooting for them just for. Let me put it this way: when my team is eliminated, I root for my friend's team. And a very good and avid supporter of the show, my man Tristan Vittorelli. He's a diehard Detroit fan, and you can see it. Like he has a newborn child. What's Lord? I'm on the air. He's gonna get mad at me. I'm like my nephew. What is his name?
whoa. When have you ever rooted for any team that I like because we're friends?
We're not friends.
We are friends.
We are rivals, sir.
We love each other.
Well, yeah. Let me put it to you this way: my two best friends in the entire world, my brothers. One of them is up there with that forehead, and the other one is. They are both diehard Gamecock fans when it comes to football. We are rivals.
That's not the same thing. You're not expected to do it, but you never ever say, you know what, Scott, I'd like to see the Cowboys win for you this week.
That's never going to happen. And let me put it. Hey, Scotty D, let me put you.
You started the show taunting me.
I'm gonna do you one even better, Scotty D. My own blood brother is a diehard Cowboys fan. Rival. My cousin Jeffrey, diehard Cowboys fan. Rival.
Well, the Yankees are in the American League and the Braves are in the National League. You might as well root for the Yankees to make me happy because I'm your friend. You're rooting for me.
No.
I'm starting to think you're not a very good person.
I'm not. I thoroughly enjoy your misery.
I'm starting to think you're not a good person.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in the clip. I'm going to put this in the clip machine. This part right here in the clip machine.
Oh man, I cannot believe Tristan. I apologize, bro. What is my nephew's name?
Did it just get here? Be live? Is the baby brand new?
Yeah. Yes, the baby is brand new.
Okay. Well, it takes a while to learn names and everything.
Santino. Okay. My man Tino Vittorelli. You should see. He's got all the Detroit Lions gear, all the Detroit Tigers gear, all the Michigan gear. It is literally the cutest thing ever. I'm gonna send you guys a link to vote for him for like Baby of the Year or something that they got going on. Yep. To Tristan and Megan, love you guys. I am terrible with names. My brain is fried from all the alcohol that I drink, but it's okay. Cool. I don't.
Thanks for stealing another joke from me.
Right. I knew you. Yeah, I knew you had that. I knew you had that in the chamber, baby. I can pick on myself better than anybody else can.
B.I. say, yeah.
Yes.
B.I. say, yeah. Let me go ahead and just grab this bullet out of here and
put it on the counter. You know what you're not gonna do. I already know. But yes, Guardians, Cleveland. I know everybody wants to see a Subway Series, and then everybody else wants to see Yankees.
Judge versus Ohtani, it'd be epic.
Ohtani still should be in jail for gambling,
but he's not. So
you
know. And here's the thing:
he gambled
in the 4-game divisional series. Aaron Judge was 2 for 13 with 5 strikeouts. He was struggling and grinding, and in the last game he started to come out a little bit. I think he's going to have a big series against Cleveland. He hit them well during the regular season. Fortunately for him, Giancarlo Stanton, who I think has been subpar during the regular season, always banged up and stuff, so not himself. He actually came alive and had that big home run that won, I think it was game 2 for them. They went up 3, or game 3 maybe it was, when they went up 3-2 on a home run by Stanton. Maybe he's due for a slump, but I can't see Aaron Judge continuing to go up and struggle at the plate and just flail away. He was in the first 2 games really. He wasn't even close. He was just going up there and just striking out and just missing. I think he comes out of that. And the Yanks also starting on this game tonight, the Monday night game, we're going to get Anthony Rizzo back. He hurt his fingers late in the season. He's back in the lineup on the championship roster. Says he's still hurting, but there's another lefty power bat in the lineup for the Yanks. They gotta win. I need the Yanks to win. I need the World Series to be interesting again. Last year was the Rangers and Diamondbacks, and I watched it, but that doesn't have the luster as Yankees Dodgers. I mean you can see that in lights. Yankees Dodgers.
Yeah, that is
Hasn't happened since 1981.
see it in lights, man. Yeah, that is that does look nice. That really does look nice. I'm not gonna lie, man. That really does look nice. Wow. Yankees, Dodgers. But you know what? I'm just happy. I like this time of the year when it comes to baseball because I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, I don't even know who won that clunker last night of Saturday night between the Bengals and the Giants. I was more interested in the NLCS game one versus the football game. And be live to opine to piggyback off a Pebble Point you had last week. You know what? That game between Baltimore and Washington should have been flexed for Sunday night. But I understand it's early in the season. You can't do it. But interest, you want to
Yeah,
see.
are we transitioning to NFL? Because I say let's keep going here. Yeah, that definitely would have been
Oh yeah,
been the more interesting game for sure.
just and hey Scotty D, just but I know we're switching over. Aaron Judge has a career postseason batting average of 207.
Yeah,
This is if there was any time for him to wake up in the postseason, it's now.
it is now. Yes.
Yes. All right. Football.
All right, yes, and just like I said, be live. Whoever had the bright idea to flex that game. Hindsight's 2020, and I agree that game should have been flexed. Matter of fact, who the hell won that game Sunday night? Who won? Anybody?
The Bengals did win the game.
Oh, I thought they
Yeah,
tied. Damn.
Okay, here's the thing. Going into the season, did you think the Reds? I'm sorry, the no team. Oh, no, my bad. The football team. No, Commanders, Piglets. You think they would be 4-1 now? 4-2, of course, going against the second best team in the
The conference.
AFC.
Yeah.
The AFC. And I still think they're better than Kansas City, but that's a whole nother argument within itself. Of course, if you had to do the schedule all over again, Washington would have a few more night games.
Mm-hmm.
But who again was thinking the Bengals and the Giants would have been a good night game ever? But you know, I don't know nothing on this.
Yeah, that's a great point because there were some other games that would have been. I mean, even going into the season, you would have thought preseason Philly and Cleveland would have had a little bit more appeal, or Tampa, New Orleans with the division, the divisional game. Anything other than those two teams. Yeah, that's. I mean, I know you get Joe Burrow back and you want to put him on a prime time, and maybe that was the only opportunity they saw to get the Giants on in there. But yeah, most of America's not clamoring to watch Daniel Jones at this point.
Yeah, Giants fans are completely done with him. And
they are. I'm
Joe
done
Burrow.
too.
Joe Burrow. I am done with you. Change your hair back. I don't like it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So you want to wait? Okay. So B Live said he likes more of the wavy hair Joe Burrow as opposed to this 97, 98, 96.
I'll
tips.
do you one better.
Okay.
And this comes from my soul and my heart.
Uh-oh.
Give me back cigar smoking Joe Burrow after he beat my Clemson Tigers.
Ooh, Lord
I'm okay
mercy.
with that.
Okay.
Smoking that Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why? For who? Which silly ass girl told you that was a good idea? You didn't come up with that idea yourself.
No.
I'm just letting you know. My bad.
Yep.
Okay. Football.
Yep. So football.
Game balls.
Yeah, game balls. But first, do we want to do the game balls or bring back Scotty D's segment, Big Facts, Big Lie? Which one we'll do first?
Well, we'll do that. Let's move that back a little bit. Let's do some game balls here.
Okay, all right. So with that being said, we're gonna do this week's game balls. And with that being said, Scotty D, who you got?
This is the first time we've really actually done it this way, but I'm gonna give my weekly game ball to Jerry Jones. No, of course I'm not, because he's ruining football season for me. I'm gonna give the game ball to Jordan Love.
Okay.
And the Pack got off to a rough start in opening week. He goes down hurt, and things look bleak out of the gate. Jordan Love on Sunday, he did throw a pick, but he threw 22 of 32 for 258 yards and 4 touchdowns, 119.5 passer rating. I don't know what that means, but I know that that's good.
Yeah.
So Jordan Love is seeming to find his groove, and I wasn't sure if he was going to, because during the last 5 games of the season last year, he started to seem like he was finding his groove. And I wasn't sure if I trusted it. I didn't know if I believed in Jordan Love. I know he smoked the Cowboys out of their own stadium in the playoffs, but I wasn't sure if I trusted him. And right now, it looks like Green Bay is starting to hit their stride. Like, they look to me very legit. It looks like they could be a legit deep playoff run type of team at this point. And I'm gonna give it to Jordan Love for coming back from the injury already and leading the team. They're 4-2, 2-1 in the division, or 2-1 at home. Jordan Love in the Pack. B Live, who you got?
I will. I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said about Jordan Love and Green Bay Packers being legit. If the regular season ended today, all 4 teams from the NFC North would make the playoffs.
How about that? That's crazy.
Yeah. The Bears are 4-2, the Lions are 4-1, and Minnesota, the Vikings are 5-0. And Green Bay, of course, is 4-2. There's some tiebreakers in there, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, whatever. But for the most part, if the season ended today, all 4 teams from the NFC North, they're playing really good football. And I apologize to Caleb Williams. He looks like he's coming to form. So you know what? I may be wrong. I don't have a problem with that.
And Detroit is going to be at Minnesota at 1:00 next Sunday. So that's a circle the
another game that should be game that should be flexed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what's the Sunday? And what's the Sunday night game? Does anybody know? If we don't know offhand, I mean that a game like that between was it Minnesota?
Next Sunday night is going to be the Jets and the Steelers, because Aaron Rodgers is getting all primetime games.
Lord have mercy! 1 clunker, 2 clunker, 3 clunker.
As a matter of fact, we haven't seen Monday Night Football yet this week, but it is, I believe, Aaron Rodgers taking on the Bills.
Yep, it is.
Josh,
these media conglomerates just love the city of East Rutherford.
And I'm gonna tell you the best thing about that game is going to be the best thing about that game is going to be the Manning cast. I'm just saying. You know what? Here's what I'm trying to figure out, and we'll move on to the next segment. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Why did they even bother poaching Joe Buck and Troy Aikman from Fox when the majority of people that you talk to, they watch the Manning cast? They watch the Manning cast. It's like, well, what are they doing? What are they?
They're competing against themselves. ESPN's competing against themselves,
which makes no sense. I don't understand.
I'm gonna give it this way. They get the ratings either way. They're not necessarily competing against themselves. They just have multiple outlets of showing the game, which means they have 2 different ways of generating revenue through advertising. So they're not really competing against themselves. They just have different angles.
Makes sense.
They're actually, and so like the Manning cast is for us fanatics. We're fanatics of the sport. We go above and beyond to watch the sport. We don't necessarily analyze it, but fanalists, Jermaine Funny Man Johnson. We are fanalists. We're fans of the game. We know a little bit more than the casual fan. We watch the Manning cast because they give a different perspective. They break down stuff. And I like that very much so when I can actually hear it, which is never. But yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm going to give a game ball out real quick as well. Yeah, NFL scheduling, do better. All right, I see where we're at with it. Boom, 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 boom.
2-0 Mets.
Ooh, all right. My game ball is going to the running back that the Dallas Cowboys could not afford.
Oh, here we go. You are not a good person. You could have just said his name. You could have just said Derrick Henry. But you're not a very good person.
Oh, go ahead, Beeline. Oh God.
Oh, Derrick Henry. Come on. He's leading the league in rushing. Because I think a dude from San Francisco got hurt. So Derrick Henry is your leading rusher at what, 31 years old?
30.
Everybody counted him out. They said, oh, he's not. Well, he's not as. And Baltimore switched up their scheme. They're doing a lot more in pocket, under center, so he can get that running start that nobody can stop. God Almighty, Cowboys, you dropped the ball on this because Baltimore is legit. If Baltimore could get one more receiver, Zay Flowers did his thing in this game as well with 132 yards. He didn't get into the end zone, so that's why my game ball goes to Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry hasn't lost a step at all. And I don't see anything stopping him. The O-line is holding their own, doing their thing. Baltimore, like I said before, I think this is going to be interesting. What's going to happen at the end of the year and then on playoffs? We shall see. Eddie, cool. What's your
Baltimore
game
got out of the gate sticky, but they're starting to groove it too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, see, the thing about this, the first two games, they didn't know exactly how, because they Lamar Jackson was taken out of not plans. What is shotgun? He was in shotgun formation, and it left Derrick Henry just standing. Derrick Henry is a lot better running downfield when he hands off the ball. And so you saw that offensive scheme switch up, and now you're seeing them gel. And that also opens up the play action pass. They're gelling right now. And we're seeing the Baltimore Ravens as they're supposed to be. Not those first two games that even
big toe,
they could have won.
Mm-hmm.
The same. And they lost to the Raiders. That's amazing. Go ahead, Eddie. Cool. Tell us your game ball.
Hey, man, things happen. All right. My game ball is going to a defensive unit, if you will. It's going to go to the Detroit Lions as they get a big one on the road against the Cowboys, 47-9. The only bad thing about that game is, they lost Aiden Hutchinson to a broken leg for the remainder of the season, but we'll opine on that later on in the episode. They held the Cowboys to 251 yards. Dak got intercepted 3 times, and the Cowboys lost 2 fumbles. So that's a total of what, 5? They, turned the ball over 5 times. They stayed in Dak's face. And so, yeah, my game ball, despite losing Aiden Hutchinson, goes to the Detroit Lions defense. And I would say that offense, because guess what? The offense didn't punt none at all. They didn't punt at all. So if this is where
they didn't punt, that's right. They didn't punt.
No punts. Nope. If the Lions are hit, if this is hitting their stride, boy, NFC's ass is in trouble. The NFC is in trouble.
And on top of that, let me just say this: the Saints are terrible, and they made the Cowboys look like this, and they fooled me. I thought the Saints were good, but the Cowboys are terrible. And on Sunday night, Rico Dowdle had the best game of his career. 20 carries for 87 yards. And then Zeke cried about through the week. And guess what? Zeke on Sunday, 8 carries, Rico Dowdle, 5 carries. I know they had to pass a lot because they were behind, but that's how Rico Dowdle gets 5 carries after having 20 last week, 87 yards and a receiving touchdown. And then Zeke says, oh, I don't know like how my role is. And Jerry Jones says something stupid about we're saving him. He can't run anymore. He's old and overweight. Get him out of there. Release him. And so on that note, we did not put the question up for the week for Choice of the Voices. I'll post the same question that I posed last week, which is what team who is under 500 has the best chance to make the playoffs? I'll let you answer that on social media this week, and we're going to do a different segment, Eddie. Cool.
All right. Coming up next after the break is the return of Big Facts and Big Lies right here on your favorite sports podcast, none other than the SportsBros Podcast.
6-0 Mets in the second.
And he hit another grand slam. Stay. Don't you dare go away. We'll be right back. It's the top of the second. The Dodgers are in trouble. We'll be back, y'all.
In the meantime, in between time, check us out on another platform because we got sports here, sports there, and all that whatnot. But on Wednesday, we just break it down a little bit and we talk about mental health. And we ask everyone to let's check in with the Wellness Check Wednesdays podcast.
feel free to join us. For more information, just check out our Wellness Check Wednesday page on Facebook. Click the link, and of course, let's check in.
Check in. See you on Wednesday.
Back here at SportsBros Podcast, and from time to time, we tend to get forgetful. Prime example: I was at work the other day, and this gentleman, he wanted orange juice with him and his daughter. It never made it to the table. I forgot. He paid for it, and my manager said, "What happened to the orange juice?" I was like, "I forgot." Things happen. Hopefully, I don't get written up for that because that seems to be the common trend about Eddie. But anyways, that's neither here nor there because I don't know none of them. I don't know none of them to the damn podcast. So I say what the hell I want to say. We forgot to post a question for this week's Choices of the Voices on social media, but guess what? We always got something going on here. With that being said, we're going to bring back another favorite segment of ours, and this one is called Big Facts, Big Lies, where the money man Scotty D gives us three statements and we determine if it's a big fact or a big lie. All right, Scotty D, topic number one.
All right, so we talked a little bit already about the Lions and the Cowboys and how that shook out on Sunday. A nasty thing happened in that game, and they didn't show the replay of it on Fox, but I have seen it, and it is a gruesome injury, and that was Aiden Hutchinson, his leg colliding with the leg of one of his other players and basically snapped his tibia-fibia. He had surgery on Monday. But does that mean, here we go, the Lions Super Bowl hopes died on Sunday? Not playoff hopes, but Super Bowl hopes died on Sunday when Aiden Hutchinson's leg snapped. Be live? Is that a big lie or a big fact? Actually, I said that wrong. Big fact or big lie?
I'm going to say that's a big lie. I don't believe that. Aiden Hutchinson, of course, is a big figure on the Detroit's defense. But has Detroit really ever focused more on defense? So has that actually been their identity over the course of the past few years? Or has it been more of a focus on the offense? Their offensive line is playing stellar. They got a dual threat in the backfield. They got wide receivers that can catch any route. Jared Goff is doing his thing. I don't think it was ever a problem that every now and again the defense may allow the opposing team to score 20, 30 points. But Detroit can score on anybody. Mm-hmm. I think they can outscore anybody in the league. So at the end of the day, no. I think this is a rallying cry. They're like, this is in the locker room, hey, Hutch, we got you, bruh. Get better. We gonna do this. And they also even leaked out earlier today that he might be available for the Super Bowl. Now, that's really reaching, but at the end of the day, no, that's a big lie.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, Be Live. That's a big lie because, like you said, they can pile up points and everybody from an offensive standpoint, they're good. The O-line is good. I mean, hell, they had damn Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell out here doing jet sweeps and running routes in Dallas. So very disrespectful. Also on top of that, I was watching Nightcap last night, and Shannon Sharp said, since everything is going on in Raiders and everybody trying to get the hell up out of there, if I'm Detroit, I'm trying to make a trade to go get Max Crosby.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp said I would try to go make a trade for Max Crosby, and I think the trade deadline is November the 1st, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a big lie. I think the Lions are resilient. They're tough. Everybody's trained well to, hey, I think they have a next man up mentality. Because of course we weren't going to expect like the Cowboys to come back from being down like 40 some points, and beat them because they already did the damage. But I think it's a big lie.
I'm gonna throw something out there real quick.
Go ahead.
The number one scoring offense in the NFL, Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
That
I will say
was it 40 points in the last two games?
Yeah, 47, 42. Last two games they've been over 40. Oh. I think that without Aiden Hutchinson, it definitely sets them back because I don't think Detroit's pass rush has been much without him. Now they did on Sunday, but the Cowboys' offensive line is Swiss cheese right now. They can't run the ball, they can't protect Dak. Doesn't matter who they're playing. So I do think that that could be a huge detriment come playoff time. However, I like that Max Crosby idea that you threw out there, because Detroit, if you're Detroit right now, your championship window is wide open. You don't need draft picks. Remember a few years ago, the Rams said F them picks, and they went all in on the current team, and it worked out. They won a Super Bowl, and that's kind of where I feel like Detroit is right now. And if you're the Raiders, you don't even have a quarterback, let alone other assets. You're already shopping Devontae Adams. Why not just go all in on your rebuild if you're the Raiders? Stockpile picks, get rid of Adams, get rid of Crosby, and Crosby can thrive with Detroit. And that's not like a position where you have to learn, a midseason where you have to get up to speed learning an offense, like a complicated offense. You say, hey, go get the quarterback. All right, plug him in. I like that. Good answers there, guys.
Yeah, when Shannon Sharp put out that idea, I was like, "Ooh, I like
that's
that."
a good. I like it. That's. I think that would be. I'd like to see that come to fruition. All right, here's a big factor, big lie number 2. If Jacksonville, the Jaguars, who had a terrible Sunday once again, if they fail to beat New England this coming Sunday, Doug Peterson gets fired next Monday, becoming the second coach in season to get the hook. Eddie Cool, is that a big fact or is that a big lie?
Big facts, because them cheeks is cooking. Them cheeks is cooking. Them cheeks is cooking. Listen, the Jaguars have talent. They now have a two-headed monster in the backfield with Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. They also have Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, who's the other wide receiver? And Gabe Davis.
Yep.
So they have weapons, but that offensive line is another line that got more holes in the block of Swiss cheese in it. And the defense is So it's gonna come to a point where it's like, all right, Dougie P, looking like Myrtle Beach, you have to figure out what to. You remember that meme where it says he had his visor on and it says Doug Peterson looks like Myrtle Beach? So he was so his cheeks is cooking, bro. He got to figure something out. And what you cannot do, you cannot lose to a team that's equally bad in the New England Patriots. If he loses for the second time in 3 weeks, we'll see another coach getting 8-6. What about you, B-Live?
The only way this is a big lie is if he doesn't get fired today. It's like that's the only way this is not this is a big fact unless he gets fired today. Like, good Lord. He even said it in the post-game interview that there needs to be a culture change. Doug Peterson said this in the post-game interview that there needs to be a culture change. You know what most general managers and owners of football teams do when a culture change is needed? They fire the head coach.
That's the first one to go. He's the first one to go.
That's the first one to go when there needs to be a culture and a climate change. It looks like the team is giving up on Doug Peterson. I think he's lost the locker room. There's no effort. And then for him to say that, you might have already just said that that was your exit interview, player. Doug Peterson, he doesn't make it through the rest of the season. I'm pretty sure if they lose to New England, they're going to lose this. They're going to lose a game that they should win. I don't think Doug Peterson makes it through the season regardless. But yeah, if they lose against New England, just go ahead, cut your losses. Travis Etienne has a hamstring issue. He had to leave the game this past week, so he may not be available. But yes, they are too talented to be where they're at right now at 1-5.
Entirely too talented.
I agree. And you bring him in there to try to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. And since November of last year, this team has fallen off the cliff. They really have just have dropped like what's the old saying? Like a fat kid on a seesaw.
Yeah.
It really just dropped. Now, here's something I did not realize. And this might be the reason why he is still employed today. I did not realize, but the Jacksonville Patriots game is again in Europe next week. The Jaguars were over there on this past Sunday playing the Bears. They have another game at 9:30 a.m. next week. So maybe that's why he still has a job, because you can't just fire a coach and send him back to America without having another coach on the other continent. But if you lose that game,
they gonna make him stay there.
You can't. Yeah,
you can't get back on the plane. He can't get back on the plane. You better have your visa ready, player.
Go coach Manchester U or AC Milan or one of them teams. So following this game, there you have the Packers at Eagles, Vikings at Lions. Yeah. What are you gonna do? You're not going to go beat those. You might as well try to scrap this plan. Let an interim try to help figure things out, change the culture, because you're not going anywhere with Doug Peterson. He must be a locker room jerk, because it wasn't that long ago that he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. And then they can't. I mean, Mike Tomlin won the Super Bowl like 40 years ago with the Steelers, and he's still their head coach. I mean, usually you win a Super Bowl, you get a little bit of a grace period, but he saw his way out of Philly pretty quickly. I think 2 seasons after winning the Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. So at one time, he seemed like the top guy riding the crest of the wave of being like one of the top coaches. And now he got to go. I mean, if you're Jacksonville, you can't waste any more time. You have to figure some things out now, and it's not happening with him.
And see, the thing about that is he's talking about there needs to change the culture. Bro, you were the culture changer after that Urban Meyer fiasco.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, you were the culture change, because when I saw, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're gonna hire Doug Peterson. All right, smart football move. That's a great football move. They should be in contention. They should be in contention for a while, because if he can win a damn Super Bowl with Nick Foles, imagine what he can do with Trevor Lawrence. For the looks of it, they staking up the joint. All right, Scotty D, third and final question.
All right, we're gonna switch gears here into the college football lane.
Ooh.
When the college football playoffs begin, every team will have at least one loss. And there are 12 teams this year, correct, V-Live?
There are 12 teams.
12 teams. When the college football playoffs begin, every team will have at least one loss. Big fact or big lie, V-Live?
That I hate to say, because I had a stipulation. I had where it could possibly not happen, et cetera, et cetera. That's a big fact. I think the way everything is set up, your conference championships, just because it's no longer division versus division, but it's actually the top 2 in each of the big 4, the Power 4. I think Texas can go undefeated in the SEC. I think that's still a tough thing to do, but I think they can still do it. But then they would have to face somebody in the SEC championship. And that's just that opportunity. That person in the SEC championship, I'm pretty sure they're going to have an automatic bid too, just because of the way it's set up and everybody just loves the SEC. But you look at the Big 12, that may only get one team in. Look at the ACC, that might only get one team in. Big Ten is going to have probably a couple teams get in. But they might end up just beating up on each other. Right now, ACC, Miami's up top. As far as rankings is concerned, Clemson has already had the loss. If the things go the way it's supposed to go, we don't know. Pitt's undefeated right now. Something crazy can happen. I think that's a big fact, because even on top of that, your top-ranked group of 5 team already has a loss, and that's Boise State. That was going to be the exception to the rule, where your top group of 5 team was going to be undefeated. It usually is. Boise State's already got one loss, but they're the top-ranked group of 5 team. If the season ended today, they would make it in. And they have a favorable schedule to go, so they're probably going to be 11-1, 12-1 when the playoffs come into play, and they would be in with one loss. All the other conferences are going to beat up on each other. Notre Dame's already lost. They look like they got a place to the playoff right now if the season ended today. There's only but a couple left.
Yeah, and Penn State still has to play Ohio State.
Correct.
Now it is at
I'm
home,
think
but that's going to be a tough game. And Ohio State
I'm
losing to Oregon the other night changes things drastically for that team.
big fact. I'm going with big fact.
What do you think, Eddie Cool?
I'm gonna have to go with big fact too, because especially like me and someone had a conversation. One of my coworkers had a conversation at work a few days ago. We talked about the SEC West and how much of a bloodbath that is within the conference. It seems like every team is good, and at any moment, any team can break out and challenge Alabama. So therefore, it's just like, okay, if you're looking at the SEC West alone, then somebody might have one loss, somebody might have two losses.
Now,
And
Eddie Cool. Let me jump in real quick.
what's up?
SEC West is no longer a thing. They don't have divisions anymore.
So it's just wide
That's
open.
Yeah, it's the top two teams in your Power Four conferences. The only conference in college football that has divisions anymore is the Sun Belt. All the other conferences have gone away from divisions.
Well, damn, I had no idea. Well, if that's the case, if you're looking at the SEC, it's going to be a bloodbath because with the influx of your Oklahomas and your Texases and all these other teams combined with already what you have, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a slugfest. So somebody might have one loss or two losses. Hell, we might even see a three-loss team. All depends on how they how the rankings come about. So I think it's a big fact. And if you're looking at college football as a totality, you know. Don't be surprised you see a James Madison up in there who did their thing against Coastal Carolina the other night, but I digress. Don't be surprised you see a James Madison or Scotty D's Pitt Panthers. Just don't be surprised what you see. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be a big fact.
I've been wrestling back and forth since I thought this question up, and I kind of think it is too, just based on the fact that I think Oregon can run the table. They've got a couple tough games with Illinois coming up and at Michigan, both winnable games. But again, conference championship, if they get Ohio State again a second time, they could conceivably lose that game. And Texas, I think am I mistaken, but Texas is playing Georgia next week or this week? I think that's
Yep.
so. I mean, there's a lot of roadblocks considering that these teams already have lost. I would have thought earlier in the season that Georgia could be undefeated after beating Alabama, and then they faltered, or Ohio State. And Ohio State obviously lost an extremely wild game. Wild finish, could have been anybody's game this past week. If there was one more tick left on the clock, maybe Ohio State gets a field goal off and wins that game, and things change. But I think it's very conceivable that we have 12 teams all with a loss in this season. So good segment there, fellas. And again, the question of the week next week: what NFL team with that has a losing record is most likely to rebound and make the playoffs?
All right, come back.
Eddie Cool. That'll give us something to talk about next week.
All right, for the
Scotty
choice
D,
of the
and I
voices.
wanna
Oh, go ahead, be loud.
Yeah. Scott D, I appreciate that college football question because you know how much I love college football, and I'm gonna opine on all three on both of y'all's points and everything. Those undefeated teams that are only but a few select left. Eddie Cool, can you give him a spot? Can you give him a moment? Because you know what time it is, right? Can you give it to me?
Ladies and gentlemen, people with big foreheads, including me, people that go to church, people that make a lot of noise, and babies, because you can't forget the babies. This is the Be Live Top 5.
Man, oh man, what a game in Eugene, Oregon. We were just talking about undefeated teams left in college football, and this was definitely one of them. Had you on the edge of your seat. Definitely has all the playoff implications. Oregon outlast Ohio State. And which shakes up, 2 weeks in a row, 2 top 5 matchups in the Be Live top 5. So, of course, I gotta switch it up. So, Be Live top 5 coming in at number 5. I still have the Georgia Bulldogs. The Georgia Bulldogs, even though Mississippi State, you allowed them to give them 31 points. Don't do that no more. Because then you're going to be back on that overrated thing that I be doing. But Georgia, I mean, at the end of the day, I think they can compete with anybody. And the reason why I have them in my top 5 also is because I like to do a couple of little media things because it's leading up to coming up. Texas versus Georgia, little B-Live top 5 matchup again for the 3rd week in a row.
I might watch
Gotta
that
love
game.
it.
I might watch that one.
That's a good game to watch. It's going to, because just saying, Texas is also in my top 5. Y'all know it. Y'all should know it. Coming in at number 4, the Miami Hurricanes, number 4. Miami, you got that horseshoe up your ass, but you find a way to win games. And just like we just talked about, being undefeated in a Power 4 conference gets you up there, and your schedule is favorable. Keep doing what you're doing. You're top 5 in the country to me. Just saying. Number 3. I didn't do it last week just because I don't believe in them just yet, but I got to at this point in time because you got to fill the slots in. The Penn State Nittany Lions are number 3. I bring them from out of my top 5. I bring them up to number 3.
They beat Milky. They beat Milky Moss.
That was, and as much as it's not showing in that little number next to teams' names called a ranking, Southern Cal is not a slouch. Those 3 losses that Southern Cal has, those were well-fought games. And for Penn State to not falter against a good Southern Cal team, not great, they are not winning the games that are there in front of them. Sorry about your luck. But Penn State, that was one of their big games to win. Now, can Penn State beat Ohio State? I think that's 2 weeks from now. These are the games that elevate you to that status. I'm putting you in there, Penn State, because I like these top 5 matchups that I like to put together. Number 2. Hey, they did it. Oregon said, you know what? We might be coming from a different conference, first time in the Big Ten. We here now. The top team in the Big Ten as it stands right now with that win over Ohio State. The Ohio State. Because it was already written in a lot of people's book that Ohio State was going to run through the Big Ten. No, they will not. The Oregon Ducks with their 127 uniforms, they won the game that mattered the most against Ohio State. Number 1, you already know it. I don't even know if it's much of a rivalry on the Red River anymore because that was just ugly. Oklahoma did not show up at all. Them boys laid down Baker Mayfield's jersey in the middle of the field and spiked the flag through it. Oof. them Texas Longhorns, they are not playing around.
They didn't forget.
Oh, they are not playing at all. And Baker Mayfield said, well, I'm still living rent-free in your head. Oh. Hey, this is how passionate these rivalries are in Texas. In this big game, they showed up. Now, Texas versus Georgia. We all want to see it. Number 1 versus my number 5 is happening. And I'm going to keep these matchups as intriguing as possible. That's my top 5. I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause real quick. Let y'all opine on my top 5 before I go into the other side of things. Scotty D, here you go with the silliness.
You missed Pitt, for one.
Yeah. No.
They're 6-0. So I have them. I have them at number 1. And I guess I'll go with Penn State as number 2 because they also are in the state of Pennsylvania where I reside. And they beat Milky Moss. It's hard to beat Milky Moss, and they did it. And my number 3 team, I'm going to have the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State.
What?
And that is for one reason only. and that is their wide receiver, number
I
89,
know who he is.
Brock Rechsteiner, otherwise known as Little Papa Pump, who has 8 catches for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of which went for 85 yards. You can't go against Little Papa Pump, who looks just like his father, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. So those are my top 3.
Oh man, oh
He
man.
said the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. I'm like, I almost cussed. I was like, MF for what?
Yep.
I almost cussed.
Paula, if you hear me.
Got him.
Paula, if you hear me.
Oh my God, dog, Scotty, you almost made me cuss. I like your top 5. I like your top 5. One thing that did stick out this past weekend, speaking of Penn State, give for me everybody with the name of Tyler Warren. My man had 17 catches. All right. He even snapped the ball and he even threw a touchdown. He even caught a touchdown. Yeah, Tyler Warren, he's going to be on the eyes of draft scouts in the future as a tight end. Yeah. Number 44, big size. I'm like, look at I was like, look at Kyle Juszczyk. And I was like, oh, that's the tight end, which goes to show if you have an offense, you need an H back. You need an H back to provide that matchup for you. All right, Be Live. Now it's time for the not top 5.
Oh man, there's 2 sides to a coin. On one side is the heads, the people that doing their thing they're supposed to be doing, but on the other side, there are those teams that we had. We thought they're not who we thought they were. But I'm not letting them off the hook.
Let them off the hook.
Before I go into my top 5, I want to throw out there real quick that Florida State and Kansas were both in the preseason top 25. Both of those teams are 1-5. Wrong, and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into this Be Live not top 5. They are not in my not top 5 because they're no longer rated, so they can't be overrated. But there are teams that are. Oh, I hate to say this, but I'm sort of like, I know the media machine wants them to be great because they want to keep getting the views and all the things like that, but they're overrated. Colorado, you got to win these big games. You beat Kansas State. You are sitting atop of the Big 12. This was your opportunity. You're on the big stage all the time. Y'all talk a big game. This was the game you needed to win. And yeah, well, now you just fall. Now you're just in the midst of things. You're 2-1 in the Big 12. I mean, you need some other teams to lose, blah, 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 yada, yada. This is a game that Colorado needed, and they just weren't able to pull it out. Travis Hunter, hope you get back healthy because he suffered an injury during the game. But yep, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Number 4, Eddie Cool, I'm going to go ahead and apologize to you ahead of time. Number 4, Alabama. You can't lose to the perennial doormat of Vanderbilt and then struggle against South Carolina. You can't.
Hell yeah, they can.
You can't. You allow
It
them
happened.
to be. They got Game Chicken fans have got their chest out right now because they came close. Congratulations on almost winning, you Coot fans. Here's another trophy you can add to your case. Come on, bro. Alabama. What are you doing? You beat Georgia. Everybody put you as number 1 in the country, except for me. I still had you at number 2. And ta-da! Out here struggling against the Coots, the Game Chickens. Cut it out, Alabama.
Should have beat them and LSU.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
But we
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah.
Number 3, Tennessee. Now, I had high hopes for you. Now, I know you didn't lose against Florida, but like I said, you're in this not top 5 for the same reason Alabama is. You can't struggle against Florida. You're supposed to score 50 points on Florida. It didn't. You barely you took the game went into overtime against Florida. You're struggling against teams you should be beating them down. Tennessee, come on. I
They won.
know
They
true
won.
freshman.
They
I'm a
won, right?
labor. Come on, baby.
They won, though,
They
right?
won.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Barely.
That's the thing. That's the thing about college football. There's style points in college football, and they're not winning these games with style like they should. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Number two, I mentioned it before, and I understand they're the number one team in the country, but this is a rivalry game.
Mm-hmm.
You can't lose by 31 points. You just cannot. Oklahoma, number two. You were ranked 18th in the country by the AP, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You didn't even show up. You scored a field goal. You were up 3-0. And that was the last we heard of Oklahoma. And then number one, oh boy, number one is because I picked them to win the division. I mean, the conference. I picked them to be in the playoffs. The Utes of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
You've now lost twice. You're 1-2 in the Big 12. I had you winning the Big 12. And now, on top of that, their 9-year starter, Cameron Rising, is out with an injury. It's not looking good for the Utes. Need to do better. Get together. And if I ever rank somebody high and you disappoint me, you for damn sure gonna be on the Be Live, not top 5. Scotty D, what ridiculous games you got to pull out of here?
Well, I was just disappointed in Massachusetts this past weekend, losing 45-3 to Missouri, and I just expect better out of quarterback Tyson Famamaka, and it was 12 of 20.
What?
Tyson Famamaka, and he was 12 of 22 for 132 yards and a pick, and you just expect better out of Tyson in that situation. And he didn't give his team a chance to win. Ahmad Haston came on. He was 3 for 3 in relief, but he only threw for 10 yards. So the Minutemen of UMass, Scott's not top 5, not top 1.
Scott, what was his name again?
Tyson Famamaka.
Plowman. I can't pronounce it. You what? And I'm a dude, Scotty D, one solid. Kiss my ass, first of all. But Tyson is a former Clemson quarterback. He transferred from Clemson to UMass. I pulled it up, I'm like, oh yeah. No, he's not talking about a former Clemson player.
I expect better of our guys.
Oh, Jesus.
And then what kind of name is Cookie? What is going on in UMass? They're 1-6, but these names, Desiderio, yeah. Cookie, so, Desiderio.
I expect better out of Cookie and Tyson. They went down 45-3. They end up losing to Mizzou. So there you go. My not top one.
Fomanchak.
Oh my God.
DJ Uwangala Lele, Tyshawn Plum.
Be Live, you just broke something. Stop. Something broke. I heard something fall in my apartments. You broke something. You broke something. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Be Live Top 5. With that being said, Be Live, grab the pepper grinder before I pass out. You guys are trying to kill me on this podcast. Around the Pepper coming at you right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. Boy, when Scotty D pronounced that name, I almost did the podcast live from my living room floor. We'll be back, y'all. Stay tuned. He's about trying to kill me.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. And it's about time me to get about here for a little bit too. And with that being said, it's a round of pepper. You know how we do it, man. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. Here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. The 4 E's in no particular order, all right? On this day in history, back in 1988, the Oklahoma Sooners set the single game rushing record versus Kansas State. Fellas, just guess how many times they rushed the ball and how many yards they rushed it and how many yards they gained.
Ooh.
This is one game.
This is Oklahoma, not Oklahoma State,
Yes,
which
Oklahoma.
be Barry Sanders type numbers. But if it's the record, let me go 65 rushing attempts, 500 yards.
Scotty D, what say you?
I'll guess 66 for 501.
Scotty D,
Wow.
fellas, y'all might not be off.
This dude went prices right on me. I don't even understand. Like if I was on Prices Right and somebody did that right now and right next to me,
You just punch them
I'm just they catching it. Like, you
on site.
disrespectful. Like,
All right, so
that's how you feel.
So here
What's
we
the
go.
number? Don't you have to bowl? Shush.
Uh-oh.
What's the number?
They ran the ball for 72 times and rushed for a record 768 yards versus
Sheesh.
Kansas State on this day in history back in 1988. So were they the Big Eight then and still not playing defense, and then they became the Big 12 and stopped playing defense? Either way, it don't matter. 768 yards. Aston Genty has like what 131 more yards than that. Yeah, over to you, Scotty D.
One more for Sunday's debacle in Dallas. In the third quarter, the Cowboys still trying to fight back into the game. Dak throws a deep ball to Jalen Tolbert, and he drops it down the right sideline. In the fourth quarter, Dak throws an interception going the opposite way. Do you know why these things happened in each other's specific? Because the sun is coming through the side of Texas Stadium, and you can't see. Tolbert couldn't see the ball coming down, and Dak couldn't see his receiver because he's going, Jerrah, put up a curtain. Be live, over to you.
They got that big old jumbotron, but can't see.
But
You're blinding your players. Put up a curtain, Jerrah.
But need a big old curtain.
AT&T Stadium, boy, oh boy. People go to school and get degrees for stuff like this. Architects and engineers get paid a serious amount of money for designing these places. And
Close the blinds, Jerrah. Close the blinds.
Oh, well, maybe when it comes to my first pepper point, this guy that I'm about to mention will do a better job at being a owner of a team, because it looks like the NFL is moving forward with Tom Brady being the minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Raider fans are enamored, elated, overjoyed, and all kinds of things. And I have to remind them that my basketball franchise in the NBA, the Charlotte Hornets, were once owned by Michael Jordan. Just because the GOAT is owning your team does not mean they're a great owner. And
He's not going to play. He's not going to play.
The ball.
Yeah, don't get too happy, fans. Get too happy, fans. As we mentioned earlier, we talked about Utah and Cam Rising. Utah lost his second straight, you said, right, B-Live?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with that being said, Utah's Cam Rising is out indefinitely with a leg injury, and the head coach is to consider an 8th year of eligibility for Cam Rising, per Bleacher Report. All right, Utah quarterback Cam Rising's 2024 campaign has come to an unfortunate end, but that doesn't mean his lengthy college career is over. Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham announced on Monday that Rising will be out indefinitely due to a lower leg injury. However, Rising is eligible for an 8th year of college football through the medical red shirt, said Willingham. We'll have to consider it. Not sure if Cam has considered it. I don't know how old he is, and I understand that COVID, that you grant some extra time, but 8 years, dog. 8 years, dog. You got nothing else you want to do? But
He's
if you want
25 years old.
You old. All right. There's some young dudes waiting in the wings. You old. Cam Rising, you're a good quarterback. Hey, man, if you want to come back, you know what? It's all on you. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm not one to tell people how to live their lives and what the hell to do, but 8 years in college, Scotty D, over to you.
It sounds like me.
I was about to say.
But you actually graduated. All right.
Yeah.
You graduated.
Yeah. I took the same classes a bunch of times. All right. So this coming Wednesday night, 26-year-old Lonzo Ball is going to come back to the NBA. He has not played in 2 years. He has had procedures on his left knee, multiple procedures, including a double cartilage transplant. He has not played since January of 2022. And honestly, I don't care. All I want to know is, where's your dad? Where's your dad? Remember that guy? He was a wacky guy that was around all the time. Lonzo was coming in. He told us he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be better than Magic Johnson. He was on Monday Night Raw running around the ring. He's doing crazy interviews. Where's your dad, Lonzo? That's what I'd like to know. Get him back. Be Live, over to you.
Oh, man. I had this pepper point prepared before we recorded a little bit earlier. This was also before the Dodgers and the Mets facing game 2 of the National League Championship Series. And so, but it still stands. It still stands. After their shellacking of game 1, the Dodgers tied the 1966 Baltimore Orioles for the longest scoreless streak all time in a season, single postseason, which would have been 33 innings. And I was ready to announce that, and it still stands at 33 because the Mets came out in the first inning, scored a run, ended that, and now was it like 6-0 after a grand slam? It could be worse than that.
Still 6-0, yeah.
Still 6-0. Yep, they the Mets were like, no, you're not about to make history on us. You're not about to get that 34th scoreless inning. Not today. Eddie Cool, the ball.
It's enough to flush the Padres, though.
Be Live, this one is near and dear to our hearts because on this day in history, back in 1995, the Carolina Panthers win their first game ever by beating the New York Jets 26-15. We can't even fight our way out of a wet paper bag now. Over to you, Scotty D.
Well, I'm surprised when you were talking about near and dear to your heart. Here's one for you on this day in history. And this just came across one of my social media feeds a few minutes ago. October 14th, 1992, the Pittsburgh Pirates headed to the 9th inning with a 2-0 lead against the Atlanta Braves.
Here it is, Be Live.
3 outs away from going to the World Series. And as a baseball fan, it was the worst night of my life as the Braves rallied to score 3 in the bottom of the 9th, including the Francisco Cabrera base hit that scored Sid Bream from second base. I argue that was the most devastating play in the history of sports that any team has endured, because since then the Pirates have suffered 20 consecutive losing seasons, which is a record, and no playoff series victories since then. Be Live, over to you.
I find joy in your misery, Scotty D.
I know. You're not a good person.
I understand that. It's just usually your misery, it somewhat correlates into my joy because Pirates, Braves, Cowboys, whatever.
Lonzo Ball played for the Lakers. I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned Lakers, Cowboys, Yankees all in one episode.
He got it off.
He did it. He got it in there.
He got it off.
My third and final pepper point. This is actually not even on the wacky side of things or the crazy side of things. This is more of a historical and just a feel-good story in the midst of college football and the landscape that it is. College football has been riddled with NIL, transfer portal, NIL, more NIL, money up front, money here, money there, money everywhere. Well, when it comes to the transfer portal, and especially NIL, there are 3 teams that can't use any of that. And I am pleased to report that 2 of those teams are now ranked in the AP Top 25 for the first time since 1960. And also, this is the first time these 2 teams have been undefeated at the same time in this late of the season since 1945. And I am talking about West Point and the United States Naval Academy. Army and Navy are both undefeated. Army 6-0, Navy's 5-0. They are both ranked 23rd and 25th. Army's 23rd, Navy's 25th. It's the first time they both have been ranked in the AP poll since 1960. First time they've both been undefeated with it in going into 7 weeks into the season since 1945. Screw the transfer portal, screw NIL. Army, Navy doing big things, and I cannot wait. Oh my God, the Army Navy game has so much weight on it. Could you imagine both of them being 12-0? Or they actually couldn't actually be. There's a possibility that they would meet each other in the Mountain West Conference Championship, not Mountain West, the American Air Force in the Mountain West, the American Conference Championship, and then play each other again in the Army-Navy game.
That'd be interesting.
Playoff implications.
That would be cool.
That would be insane.
Especially if like the winner got to play Pitt. That would be really insane. That would be amazing.
It's not happening, bro. It's not happening. I know you got high hopes, but no.
I'm back.
Could you
back in the New York groove?
I gotta go, fellas. You know what I'm about to do. I'm about to hit the lanes. Eddie Cool, send us out here. You know what it is.
All right. Meanwhile, while the Dodgers are fighting snakes in their dugout, there's a snake in my dugout. On this day in history, you're going to love this one, fellas. Back in 1957.
Did you just come up with a fourth pepper point?
Nope. I didn't do my third. Now, so my third pepper point. On this day in history, back in 1957, the Giants trade Minneapolis franchise to the Red Sox for the San Francisco Seals. They just traded franchises, no players only. And I'm pretty sure somebody told him, you bet not never do that again. And that's my third and final pepper point.
You sure it's your third and final pepper point? Because I usually am the last one. Did we skip you somehow?
I got skipped somehow. That's my third and final pepper point.
I think you did four, but that's okay. I'm all good with it.
Hey, but you know what?
We got it in.
You know what? With that being said, there's another episode of SportsBros Podcast. We'll get it together somehow, some way, somehow. And then in closing, do something nice for yourself. If you can do something nice for someone else, they're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Be a blessing, not a burden. And on this day in history, back in 1935, the NHL's St. Louis Eagles fold. It's been another episode of the SportsBros Podcast. Be live. Take us home.
Yes, sir.
I'm back in the New York groove. Ace Frehley.
Happy birthday, Jerrah.
Ace Frehley. Played guitar for Kiss.
Kiss, Kiss. Hey, this episode will be out when it's supposed to be. Y'all take care. Goodbye. Take care and bye. Did I say bye? Yeah, bye. All right, I'm done. Bye.
Hey, it's Eddie Cool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening, and as always, continue to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Just click the link in the description box and keep up with the Sports Bros Podcast. And once again, thanks for listening.